Ann Dowd and Fran Kranz. Well, thank you for joining us on Faithspotting. And I wanted to ask you, Fran, off the bat. I know, and I've heard interviews that obviously there's a spiritual component to this film, and that was sort of inherent in it. But I don't consider it necessarily a faith-based film. You weren't trying to make a faith-based film, I wouldn't think.
No, I recognizing that it takes place in a church, and there's even a large crucifix on the wall of the parish hall. I don't see it that way. I don't see it as a religious film, but what I really want is for people to ask about their own relationship with spirituality. Forgiveness, reconciliation, these are themes that I think they're spiritual themes. I think they exist in a sort of spiritual realm. And I thought it was necessary that the movie take place somewhere in some kind of house of worship. I was raised Catholic, so that's my background. That's what I was familiar with. But had I been Jewish, it might have been in a temple and so on. I did not think it should be in a private home or a community center, because the themes of life and death, grief, loss, the search for meaning, which these characters are actively searching for, understanding and meaning, these are spiritual things, and each of the characters have a sort of different relationship with spirituality or God. It's not directly spoken about, but you can sort of sense it, I hope. And what I want to draw out of audiences is for them to ask these questions themselves, you know.
Well, I think you can very much draw it out, and I understand sort of in the context of sort of spirituality in the universal sense. But that said, I think this film, your film, presents faith in the most Christian faith from a Christian perspective, in the most honest presentation of the process of faith. And that's something that we typically don't see very often. We think faith is, I believe this or I believe that, but in a Christian context, it is very much a process. It just typically doesn't happen. And when you look at the lessons and the teachings of Christ, those are lessons and teachings and truths that we sort of have to work into, and we have to give ourselves completely. And this story, both in terms of certainly Ann and the other actors and you, is giving yourself, and it requires the audience to give of themselves completely. So for me, it really is presents faith from the Christian's perspective in as honest a way that I've seen in I don't know how long. And so I certainly appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you just the name Mass? Where did that, I mean, obviously mass shootings, but how did you come up with the name Mass?
Well, first, just real quick, I love that notion of faith as a process. And, the characters are making an effort, they're making an effort to heal, potentially forgive. They don't know how they're going to get there. They don't know if they're going to be successful, but they get into this room together to make the effort. Yes. Which I think is such a beautiful, extraordinary thing. And that's what I don't know what my point is, but I just love how you I've never really thought of faith that way. And it's sort of beautiful. And sort of all that matters is that these people are trying. They're sort of going to go through this process, but they don't know what it's going to give. And they have their doubts about it, right? But there's something so extraordinary and admirable about that, and which I wanted to sort of celebrate or shine a light on in the movie. But look, for Mass, for me, it mostly means my definition is a secular one, in the sense that it's just the gathering of bodies, this sort of assembling of bodies, people coming together, because that it speaks to the power of human connection and the need for human connection, our need for one another, and finding through shared suffering some deeper connection and some reconciliation. That's where that's sort of the journey that these characters, I think, go on. I welcome the religious component for the reasons I was talking about earlier. Spirituality permeates the film, and I want people. I think having some kind of spirituality is important and healthy and necessary. A relationship with the unknown and sort of the mysteries of things. But I also don't want to shy away from the sort of mass shooting reference, and because I want to be direct about it. I worry there's not the kind of change we all wish we could see. So maybe we have to change our thinking about it. We have to change our mode of thinking. And so I would love, nothing more than for this movie to come into people's minds when these things happen, and to sort of think about the personal, think about the lives that suffer and that they have to endure with this pain. And maybe that can change our effort, and maybe that it'll change the way we pay attention to these things.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that struck me, so Mass in a Christian context is the liturgy of the Eucharist, Catholic Mass, Episcopal Mass. We don't call it that in Methodism, but it's when the Eucharist is present, it's Mass. But liturgy means literally work of the people. So again, the characters working together and working individually in a process that they don't know how it's going to go really is the ultimate expression of faith in a Christian sense.
Wow, well, I'm going to steal that. That's great.
I have a question. May I?
Sure, please.
You have referenced in a Christian setting a few times.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think it would have gone in a temple or a mosque? Is the process of forgiveness different depending on one's religion? It should be.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I say that because it's my experience. I'm again, as Fran said, every faith tradition has, I think, that redemption and that forgiveness component. How they would experience that, or what verbiage, or where in their tradition it would fit in, I'm not sure, because I don't know, I guess, the ins and outs of the other traditions. But I do think, because it is a genuine sense of seeking redemption and forgiveness, I think that commonality, regardless of the specific faith, would ring true to that. So like I said, I'm just speaking from the Christian tradition, and I wouldn't want to speak for the others, but I have no doubt.
I think inclusion, I think something that happens in this film is the awareness that human beings, regardless of all the names and places we attach to them, are seeking the same thing.
Yes.
And the language in and of itself does not matter. Just being able to drop and connect with one another, and God's presence in that, however one experiences God, is universal.
Yes.
And that's what I find so moving about this is we're all here. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was gonna throw a couple of things out. So for Ann and Fran, I'm gonna get really lighthearted, but then I'm gonna take a super sharp right here in just a second. So I got a fanboy for about 10 seconds. One of my favorite, because I'm a closet horror movie addict, which is weird because here we are talking about Christianity. Oh my gosh, Fran, Cabin in the Woods. I don't care if it was 10 years ago. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. I just got to get that out of the way, buddy.
It's the greatest, man. I know, it's the greatest. Thank you.
It is so amazing. And you were my favorite character that you played. So thank you for so much entertainment. My daughter is older now. I showed it to her. She adored it. So it will be something that will be passed on like fine jewelry from generation to generation.
Tell her thank you as well. That's awesome.
and especially on your side, Ann, Hereditary, another favorite.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
No, I had to watch it with one eye. I was like this the whole time. I'm terrified.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
One of the best horror films in memory. Yeah. Hereditary. So amazing. Yeah.
And I love the resurgence. Yeah.
That's a legit scary movie. Cabin is funny.
Okay.
Yeah, Cabin is more wit than anything else. Yeah. You know, it's more smart. I mean, not that Hereditary is not smart, don't get me wrong, but it is dark. I mean, dark.
And that had
So,
gone the end for me.
taking that hard right, I don't know if you want to call it just particular timing. I'd say about an hour ago, there was a mass shooting here in Dallas.
Today,
Yeah.
Today, this morning. And I was telling my kids about it. Basically what we do every Friday, it's a Wednesday, long story why we don't have a regular week this week, but we have a newscast that we do. So all of my news kids were gathered around watching video of what was going on. Fingers crossed, all I've heard is that 4 kids were injured, and I believe that's the worst of it. But I just couldn't believe the timing, because I watched your movie last night, Fran, and obviously you too, Ann. And I was talking to the kids about it. So if there's any sort of silver lining, what I loved about the movie is it opens up conversations. It's something that I take an enormous amount of responsibility with my kids that I have, that I'm a teacher for, to support them and love them and recognize them. And I guess what I'm saying for really both of you, and I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth with both of you, is for you on your side, Fran, where did this come from, this story? I mean, it was a beautiful story. And on your side, and with what you did, this scene that you had at the end, I'm calling it the hit me scene. Oh my goodness, it was so powerful, so beautiful. And I want to know from you, where did you dig in yourself to find that? I'm always fascinated with movie makers, writers, that it comes from a place that a lot of us don't know. So between you two, how would you answer those 2 questions? And I'm going to drive because I got my wife saying, "Hey, get home. You got to go to the state fair."
oh, how fun.
I don't know how capable I am of forgiveness at times. And under these circumstances, in unimaginable circumstances, terribly difficult circumstances, I don't know what I'm capable of. And it scares me. It troubles me. I think about it a lot. I thought about it when I learned about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission when I was in college in South Africa. I didn't know if I could do that. I have a daughter now, and in the wake of these shootings, like what just happened, and my heart sank when they told me about it, I have to confront those feelings and fears. And so this movie is really me working through these questions of, can I forgive? Can you move forward? How do you heal? How do you reconcile? These were all things I don't know how to do. And so I've had these 4 characters. When I came across these meetings, I had that dynamic, the father and mother of a shooter, the father and mother of a victim. I tried to place myself in their shoes and write it out like a multiple personality disorder, a crazy, just write it all out, because I didn't believe there were good or bad people here. I believe there were complex humans who may have made tragic mistakes, but out of love. That's mostly what I found in the research, that just the mess and the difficulty of being a parent and loving and yet losing, so I just tried to struggle through that, and write it. So that it's so much of it is sort of a personal exploration,
And we have time for one more question.
Sorry, you had it.
No.
Your turn.
I think I remember the question.
The end. I mean that. Yeah.
Oh, well, how does one, okay. Well, I think it's probably true for all of us in our various choices in life in terms of the work we do. But when a script is written with the beauty and truth of this script that Fran has created, and the characters are clear, then that's a joyful process for an actor. It can be very scary, meaning, can I do it? And there's a lot of things that go into it. I would say the fact that we trusted one another, that in the 2 days of rehearsal, 2.5, we came to trust and respect one another. We knew we were in a safe space. That opens the sky. Clouds go, and there is hope and the sunshine. Sorry for the kind of vapid metaphor there. To a teacher, no less. So then you do your personal work, don't you? You see where the story connects. You find what you understand, what you have questions about. You let it settle. You listen in the silence. You listen for the voice of Linda that will come. And it really is from so many, speaking of spiritual, it's that kind of process. It's from the non-physical world, all of the assistance, the help, the understanding of what this woman is going through, the great gift of that. And I'm just have really profound gratitude for that experience and what it taught me about vulnerability and the notion that there was always a way forward, in spite of, even in the most unimaginable circumstances.
Absolutely. That and that's going to teach others. That's what I'm saying when I try to get churches to show this film as a way to deepen one's discipleship. And Fran, the pastor in me just has to reach out. I know that struggle of wondering whether you can forgive, but your film shows that way. You don't have to have the pressure of all of a sudden forgiving completely and having that instantaneous. It is a process. It is a work, and it may come in a conversation like in the film. It may come in weeks or months, but it is that work in that process.
Wow, thank you. That means a lot to hear.
I
That's
agree.
lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and blessed be the ties that bind. The music, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the way you carried that off at the end, chill bumps. I don't cry much at movies, but you got some tears flowing there.
Thank you.
Because that's the way church should be. So thank you for that gift. Thank you both.
Appreciate that.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.